In a world where QR codes kill kittens and customer service is an oxymoron, one podcast has set out to make things right. This is the UnPodcast with your hosts, Scott Stratten and Allison Kramer.
There's something missing from that intro.
You made such a sad face when you heard it, too.
For 2.5 years, the UnPodcast has been tied directly to the point that I can't talk anywhere without talking about Emma. Emma email and getting more for your email marketing. I say it at dinner.
Yes.
At lunch, on travel, and it was in our wedding vows.
It wasn't.
And we have come to the end of the sponsorship run of Emma, and we wanted to thank them wholeheartedly for supporting us and supporting the show. And we support their next venture, which is something big is changing and happening apparently in a couple of days from now, and which will be already in the past once this episode comes out. But all amazing things must come to an end, and we couldn't have picked a better title sponsor for our first main sponsor ever for this show.
Absolutely.
They let us be us. They never asked us to change anything. They never asked us to stop being ridiculous.
And you traveled all over the world talking about them. So.
And they only asked me twice to put my pants back on during recordings.
Which you can't ask for more than that. So. And
it wasn't an UnPodcast sponsorship for us. It was an entire brand sponsorship. That's what it turned into. It initially started as the show sponsorship.
I actually called myself a spokesperson.
Right.
So I'm going to, in the spokesperson category on Star Search, representing Emma.
Under LinkedIn endorsed skills.
Yeah.
And it went from being the show to also speaking at their conference, Marketing United, to then being in every presentation we gave, every keynote every year.
On our Facebook page, on the UnMarketing Facebook page, everything.
And then we did some events where we Pied Pipered the audience over to their trade show booth, and we did webinars and contests. And the great thing about this, and this is what I know a lot of people listening right now are in this world and have to deal with sponsorships and stuff of different properties, and we're all kind of scrambling right now to figure out what do you do with podcasts, what do you do with this, and what makes sense, because sometimes sponsorship, a lot of the time sponsorship is it's very hard to figure out which ones are worth it, which one works well with your brand, and we couldn't have picked a better matched voice for us. And the great thing about it is they were so good with us, all we wanted to do was more with them, and that was cool, and very spoiled. So Emma, thank you.
Yeah. So we're very happy for them, whatever exciting news is around the corner.
From Cynthia, who was the original head of marketing there, to Colby, who's there now, and Jamie, and Christina, and Nora, and the whole team, and everybody we've ever met at Emma. You guys are awesome. You guys are truly the wind beneath our wings. In other news, if you want to sponsor the UnPodcast.
In other news.
Let's talk.
We have an opening.
Yeah, let us know. And in other news, you'll be listening right now, and this will be like the day almost that Unbranding comes out.
That's right, our new baby.
Sitting on the desk right now, we have the first copy of Unbranding, which is a beautiful black cover with only Unbranding on it. The conclusion of the trilogy.
The Unmarketing Trilogy.
Which is now complete, which Mr. Rackle, my grade 11 English teacher, said would never happen.
Well,
100 branding lessons for the age of disruption. And on the best part about the spine, it says Stratten and Stratten.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's the Stratten Law Firm.
It's a pretty, it's a good book. You guys should check it out.
Yeah, grab it wherever fine books are sold.
I think over the next couple weeks, we should give some books away, maybe. So
yeah,
keep listening. 7 listeners.
The 7.
Maybe one of them will go to you.
Yeah.
The Unmarketing 7.
The Unmagnificent 7. So yeah, let us know if you want one. We'll pick somebody, maybe. Yeah. Or hey, we answer your question on the show, or we read your made-up word of the week. You can also have a copy yourself. Many of you who have submitted them and we've read on air are getting this book this week.
That's right.
So
let us know what you think.
So aren't you fancy? Coming up today, we have a lot of gloriousness. Nothing bad at all. I'm just kidding. Most of it is. So we have Ikea solving one of their supply chain issues by buying somebody. Twitter taking it up a notch and solving all of our problems. A digital conference where only 4% of the attendees are allowed to be male, and why that makes sense, at least according to some people. Facebook making our lives better by ruining them. And if we get to a couple other things, we'll see. And our made-up word.
It is kind of a jam-packed episode. So we're going to have to, be really stay on topic and be succinct, which is our one of our best qualities.
Well, now we're trying to recruit a sponsor. We're gonna take it up a notch and be serious.
Okay, let's be serious.
This is coming to us from Recode.net. IKEA, if you thought of any app or any place they're going to buy, this one probably made the most sense. In the crowd, the power of the crowd world, what's that called? Where everybody runs their own thing. I can't remember. IKEA's bought TaskRabbit. Now, TaskRabbit is U.S. based, so
I know. I wish we had TaskRabbit in Canada.
Any of us here have used TaskRabbit, but it's a U.S. based program, and it's an app, and you source out a task.
Yeah, like they'll pick things up for you, and they'll
bring your dry
drop
cleaning
things off for you, and like famously, they will
put together your IKEA furniture. Because if you've ever put together a piece of IKEA furniture, you've always thought, I would pay good money for somebody else to do this. That's what it was.
Absolutely.
So it says the Swedish home goods giant is looking for some digital help from the contract labor marketplace. The price of the deal cannot be determined, but the contract labor marketplace company has raised about $50 million since it was founded 9 years ago. Sources also noted that IKEA would add capital to the company, although that amount could not be determined. TaskRabbit, which is now profitable, well played, will also be able to strike other partnerships, such as one it already has with Amazon. TaskRabbit is one of the best-known startups in the so-called gig economy. That's what I was looking for. That links freelance workers with jobs, from handymen and women to movers to assistants. It has about 60 employees, but over 60,000 independent workers using its platform. The purchase of TaskRabbit was fueled by IKEA's need to further bolster its digital customer service capabilities to better compete with rivals like Amazon, which has stepped up its home goods and installation offerings. The purchase is IKEA's first step into the on-demand platform space.
So now can TaskRabbit come to Canada? Because we have IKEA.
Yeah.
I think they should have to come to Canada.
I think they need to, actually. This is something that needs to happen.
Yeah,
right
I want an
now.
app that'll do all kinds of things for me. I have tasks that need rabbits.
we do need rabbits that do tasks. So this is we're getting into this point now where the classical companies or the other companies that are just saying, okay, so how do we? Because there's different ways to increase revenue.
Yeah.
And this happens a lot right now in the ad agency business, where you can either increase revenue or buy somebody, and then that revenue increases, right? So if you're not specialized in this or this, you buy the company who is, then you increase them. That's where the rapid profit growth or revenue growth is happening, and it looks really good on the books. You're like, well, it cost us X millions of dollars, but hey, look, it's going to grow, and that's how sometimes you also innovate.
Yeah, but to me, it's like answering a perfect problem. Like you said, how many times have you put together IKEA furniture and say you would pay someone to do this? I would bet every single time somebody ever puts together IKEA furniture, they say that. So IKEA must get that feedback. And if you have a company where it's easy, like if you're in the IKEA site and you're buying something and there's a link right beside it that says you can find someone in your area who will come and set your stuff up for you. Right. That makes it so simple and it solves a problem. And people knowing that is going to increase people being willing to buy their furniture that they have to put together.
Unless it's the Frugen. If it's the Frugen and you can't put it together yourself.
Almost tore our marriage apart.
Yeah. But like really, it's right there in the instructions, in the non-wording.
We have actually built furniture together and survived it.
Multiple pieces. That's how strong we are.
We're Fruger strong?
We're Frugen strong, yes. That's us.
I have a story from thenewsminute.com. It says, Twitter's new 280-character limit trial is a risky strategy. Twitter's new announcement can do little, if anything, to address the fundamental challenges the social media platform continues to face. Social media site Twitter is trialing this 280-character limit. So for anyone who's ever used Twitter, it's usually 140 characters. So they're doubled the limit. And it says that the announcement is making more space for longer messages. And, it says Twitter is about brevity. It's what makes it such a great way to see what's happening. Tweets get right to the point with the information or thoughts that matter. This is something we will never change. So I guess it's sort of a contradiction, right? Because here they are increasing the limit of characters and also saying, but they're never going to go to like unlimited characters where you can like blog a book on there and just send it out. To me, this was like non-news. Like I kept thinking, have I ever tweeted something where I thought this would be better if I had twice as long to say it? And the answer to me is no. And I remember they made like the tweet longer thing that you could do. And like, I hate those things. I'm like, you have to understand each platform. Like we always talk about this, right? Like Instagram, work on beautiful pictures for Instagram, how you connect with people on Facebook that and it's a more personal platform. And then Twitter, brevity is a part of it. And it's like non-news to me.
The end of Twitter days are near.
You think?
100%.
Because they did double the length? Or because
they're scrambling. They're hemorrhaging
to make some kind of
active
change?
users. The only reason they're still in a conversation right now is because of Trump. That's his chosen platform.
Oh, and now he has twice as long to tweet. Fantastic.
We've adapted. If people have long tweets, they thread them. And that was a good move. That was a smart move, was threading, where if you click on something and you could see the replies to themselves, which turns into a threaded kind of story. And I liked that. It was a storyboard type of thing. This is the 27th thing on the list of things that Twitter should do something about. I don't think they should have changed it. I think one of the only things Twitter is known for is real time and 140 characters. Where else? 140 characters. You say that to almost anybody, at least in our world.
Then they know you're talking about Twitter.
They're talking about Twitter. That's one of the one things they've got. You had to be brief. It made me more of a brief ranter.
But the thing is, 280 is still brief. Like that's what I'm saying.
But not. It doesn't make any sense.
It's a non-change to me.
Now I know why it was 140 because it was had to do with SMS and the character limit there. I get that, but like there are so many more problems.
Oh yeah.
That needed to be adjusted, including an edit function. Right, like stopping harassment. Like there's so many more things that needed to be addressed.
I tweeted this great. Someone tweeted, I have to find it to get the exact tweet, but they basically tweeted like on the day that they made the extension, and they're like, very short sentence, but then they put like a whole like confidentiality thing at the bottom, a disclaimer that filled up the thing, and I'm like, that's fantastic.
And the other one was a Canadian one where it was bilingual.
Yeah,
so
that's
an
right.
English version and a French version.
An English version and a French version. I don't know. I was kind of like, it seemed like non-news to me. So I love Twitter because I think that's where you get your like immediate news. Like you really get this feel of things going on in the world. And I like seeing like people raising money on Twitter, like with people have been raising money for Puerto Rico on Twitter and sharing, that's what I like about Twitter.
But they haven't even done that well. They haven't even done where I love platforms adapting. It's great. I'm not sitting on my front porch with 140 characters of anger, wishing for the old days of polio Twitter. Like I'm not yearning for that. What I am look at something like Instagram, where they've now allowed threaded photos, so you can do multiple photos in one post.
Which I never swipe through because I don't know that they're there.
But you can edit, and you can do and they have they've adopted or stole different techniques from other platforms pretty well.
Yeah.
That hasn't hurt the original functionality of it. They did go to a relevancy-based timeline versus a recency-based, but again, that's just because of actually what we want as humans. But this doesn't solve the issues of Twitter, and that's the problem. It just didn't. That's not the adapting that we should be looking at.
Now we just have more characters to be terrible.
Yeah. On with the show to Adweek, and this is an interesting one. This was shared by a friend of ours. And it was the issue. There's obviously a huge issue with women. Speaking at conferences,
that's not the end of the sentence, is it? Because I'm sitting right here.
So we have a world, obviously a world that we are very familiar with, since it's our business. That conferences or panels and everything else, any other event is dominated by men and white men. Even on top of that. Where who's speaking and who's on stage, and the only events you see a lot of times is a panel is women in business panel or something like that, and it's 4 women and a dude. So this headline was why I created a digital conference where only 4% of tickets are set aside for men. It says no men allowed. It's the common thread, the secret sauce, so to speak, behind every one of our meetings in every city. Now a national organization growing at a pace we can barely contain, Women in Digital is on a mission to connect as many women on the tech and digital side of advertising and marketing as possible. And we have found it most productive if men are only in the room on select occasions. This year, there will be one such occasion, which is our national conference, which is the Women in Digital Annual Conference. This is from Elena Shearer, who's the founder of Women in Digital. Every year we plan to pick a new statistic and use the numbers to flip things around. For example, at this year's conference, only 4% of tickets are reserved for men, reflecting the percentage of women who held CEO positions in 2016 at Fortune 500 companies. If we sell out, that will be 36 men out of 900. The number of female CEOs at Fortune 500 companies has, since we began planning our event, risen to 6.4%, a number still so far short of where it should be. One of the men attending this year's annual Women in Digital Conference will be Nate Rogers, the Vice President of Marketing Communications at Ohio Health, a system with more than 10,000 employees in Columbus, Ohio, over our headquarters city. He was also the first man to buy a ticket to this year's conference. Nate, who has been one of our most ardent supporters since we launched in June 2016, told me that being part of a scant minority of men at a conference focused on women in marketing and tech allows you to feel true empathy for the other 51% of the population you should be working with, who may or may not be in roles they should be in. Don't assume this is only a women's issue. It's a human issue, and guys need to take advantage of the opportunity to show their support. I understand some men may feel awkward being in the minority, but you don't gain empathy and learn if you don't feel awkward sometimes. Nate said, adding, and wake up, bro. If you think it's society's fault and not your fault, you are society. Jump on it, man. It's us. There's still so much work to do, and we need each other more than we know. For most of us, a Women in Digital meeting is the first time in our professional careers we are among women only. Sure, there are women's groups and organizations, but none are so honed on our profession. Without men around, we have a chance to be openly and honestly discuss the state of gender bias within our industry. For example, what other professional women's group can truly address the pain and frustration that comes in dealing with a room of mansplaining developers, or the absolute degradation of a CEO calling social marketing cute, just like you, or the feeling you get upon returning from maternity leave to find your seat at the power table effectively downgraded. These are just a few of hundreds of stories and experiences I've heard while traveling to Women Digital events. What do you think?
Well, I love the idea of having women in technology conferences, and I love the idea of trying to have as many female speakers represented on panels and boards and as CEOs. And I think that to do that, you have to shake things up. I do like the idea that they've taken this statistic and switched it around. But my feeling is that if you market your conference as a women in tech conference, you're going to get very few, most likely, very few males coming anyway. And so my concern is that, let's say I'm the 100th man who wants to come and all the tickets have gone. Then I don't get to go and learn from those women because of some barrier that they've put upon entry. I think if they advertise at a women's tech conference and they hire female speakers to speak about women's issues in marketing, that any man who wants to be part of that should be able to be part of it, not as a speaker. I'm not saying you fill up the panels with men. It's a women in tech conference. It should be female speakers. But I think that keeping men who do want to be there to learn how to make their workplaces better or their marketing better should be allowed to come, because I think that those are the kind of people that you want to be at your conference. So that's the only thing that I don't like, is that idea that it would exclude men who wanted to be there and to learn and to improve the way that they are interacting with the 50% or 51% or whatever it is of the population. So that I don't like. But I do love the idea of having women in tech conferences, and I think they're necessary. And I do love the opportunity of giving women a chance to be on those panels and speak about issues that they understand. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that side of it.
A friend of ours, Melanie, commented when somebody shared this link on Facebook and said, I don't like this because we're fighting for a seat at the table, not a seat at a different table. But saying the same thing as you, which is like, we're not supposed to be all sitting over here at a different side of it where we're supposed to be fighting to be treated the same.
But I do think sometimes we need to sit at another table to be able to get our act together. So like I do think there's a time and a place for groups of people to bond together without other structures and keeping the oppressive structures off the table so that they can talk and connect. I understand. Mm-hmm. And I am very protective over the idea that we should be allowed to have those conferences but I don't think limiting the attendance does anything to share the message outside of the conference. So call it a Women in Tech conference. Talk about women's issues in technology, especially in tech, where it's almost impossible to get a seat at the table as a woman. So I do believe that it's necessary, but I think any man who wants to be part of the conference and to learn should be able to attend, because I think that will spread the message further.
By the way, great marketing hook. It's a great hook.
Oh, and switching the stat
What a
around,
great hook.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
just genius.
Because
So
we also have to understand that there's a 100% also marketing angle to this, and it's well done.
Yeah.
Like it's really, I saw it. I'm like, nice. Like,
yeah,
good.
and switching the
Great call.
statistic is brilliant. But
Yeah.
I think that there's a negative effect, and that's for maybe those people who do want to come not being able to be there. And I think that they should maybe make an exception for those people. But
Sometimes to even the scales, you have to tip them
oh yeah,
the other way.
absolutely. And I think we should be doing more to have women represented in panels and things across the board. I do, because there's great women speakers out there, and they should be giving.
One of the people, another
voices.
friend of ours, had commented on a situation like this, and had said he was asked to MC a panel, and it was a women in. Again, we can get in the debate of him moderating a panel on women, but he said, no, it's not a women in this industry panel. It's this industry panel. It happens to be 4 women panelists. And if you call it a women in this, then you're just, and a few of our female friends are also like, yeah, I don't want to be up there because I'm female in this industry. I want to be up there because I know this industry.
Absolutely, but you also, to make a change, sometimes you have to put that title on it to make the change happen. Like you said, sometimes you do have to tip the balance. I don't want to be valued because of my gender, but I also want to be valued, and sometimes you have to push that out there to be able to get a chance to sit at the table, not because it's being female that gives you the seat. In fact, it is your skill and your ability, but to get past the biases that are keeping you from being up there, sometimes you have to make those known.
We used
you
to
have
talk
to put
about
a
this,
name on it.
We used to talk about this when I was teaching at college about human rights, which was difference between equality and equity.
Yeah.
Right, where it's not about ignoring that we're all different. It's about giving everybody a fair shot, acknowledging these differences and where this systemic discrimination happens.
And the way the system is states that you don't need to name it a men in technology panel, but you do sometimes need to name it a women in technology, and that's okay. It's okay to name it. It doesn't mean that you're there because you're a woman. You're there because you're valued and you're on stage and you deserve to be there. But it's the system that's uneven, so sometimes you need to give the system a kick.
I remember somebody taking a shot at BlogHer. BlogHer is a big women in blogging conference that I've been to years ago for that. And somebody's like, well, where's Blog Him? We're like, every other conference.
Yeah.
Like the ones who have the majority can't scream oppression in something. It's just, anyway. So there you go. I actually wanted to go to the conference.
Yeah.
It's in Ohio.
And I think you should be able to.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be a speaker, but I think you should be able to go. That's how I feel about it, because you want to share the message with as many people as possible.
Agreed.
So this is from Facebook. I'm going to assume, it says it's from businessinsider.com, but I guess it's an image that popped up regarding Facebook. And I'm going to read it, and then I'd like to know what you think about it, because I don't know at all. So it says, now it's easier to enjoy video. We're always working to make Facebook a better place to watch videos. That's why videos now play with sound on automatically. Use the volume icon on any video to make the sound right for you. And it says, Facebook represents your preferences, so you can also mute your phone or turn off sound in your app settings. So the default is sound, Scott, automatic sound. How do you feel about that, Mr. Stratten?
It's not that they did this. It's not that they made videos autoplay with sound. It's not.
What is it? What is it that it is?
It's that they're pretending that it's what's best for you. Facebook has none of that in their interest. They have no interest in that. It's what can get our videos played for a little bit longer, noticed? What can we tell advertisers? Because when you dig down the analytics and you realize that 80% of your 3-second Facebook views are mute, you realize how less effective they are.
I don't think anyone in the history of Facebook has ever said this would be so much better if all these videos just made noise automatically.
It's like 2002.
Yeah, with a video, right?
Again. The autoplay videos or autoplay
website.
music. You hit your MySpace page and somebody has songs coming on.
Flashes.
Nobody's ever wanted it. Nobody.
No.
Nobody's ever wanted unsolicited sound.
But in the long game is people are just going to mute them as much as possible. And then you lose even more power to reach your audience.
But it went to the point that Chrome came out with it when they released the new version of their browser, that whatever was playing sound automatically, the browser tab would have a little volume icon on it to say, this is the tab you need to go close immediately.
Yeah.
Because it's playing you a news broadcast
Nobody
or
wants
music
it.
or... It's about as wanted as a site taking over your cursor and changing the icon of it, which is, again, back to the MySpace days.
Now it's easier for you to enjoy video.
I believe that was really the downfall of MySpace. was the
You think
automated
so?
audio and the cursor takeover and the page takeover. It was just like, they're the prime example, though, of why you do not let users choose things. Because MySpace simply said, just do what you want with your page. Different wallpaper. You can change my cursor to a unicorn, which is awesome. You can play sounds. You can do all, and it just went into it was like being on acid at a Goodwill with less organization. That's what MySpace was.
It was crazy.
And you can quote that.
I will.
That's what that was. It was just so
It's what people say about this podcast, I think, sometimes.
asinine. It was ridiculous. So let's do the Iowa football.
Yeah, you want to?
one. I love it.
Okay.
I watched a whole video on it, and it was
All right, so this is from, I don't know where it's from. Oh, CBS Sports. Iowa football starts heartwarming tradition as fans wave to children in hospital. A new football season started at Iowa on Saturday, and it came with a new tradition. The University of Iowa Children's Hospital is located across the street from Kinnick Stadium, and it overlooks the field where the Hawkeyes play. Following the first quarter of Iowa's win over Wyoming on Saturday, the fans inside the stadium made sure to let the kids and families inside the hospital know they were watching them as well. Thousands of fans turned toward the hospital and waved at the kids watching from the top floor window. For years, the Hawkeyes and their fans have raised money for the hospital and their Touchdown for Kids campaign, in which fans are encouraged to donate as much as they like for every Iowa touchdown scored during the season. The Hawkeyes have also welcomed a kid captain from the hospital to join the team on the sidelines during home games. So the history between the school football team and the hospital has been long. So they all waved at them. There's these great pictures on the site and on Twitter. And Facebook, it looks like, of all the fans just like crazy waving at the windows and at the hospital.
at the end of every first quarter.
That's
turn around.
amazing.
And it's not thousands. It's 70,000 people.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
They all turn around. And what happens is a lot of the kids in the windows have these giant foam hands.
Yeah, for the
waving
football
back.
game.
And during a night game, everybody turns on their flashlights on their phones and waves them
That's so cool.
to the windows. And then the video is... one kid who just had a brain tumor removed, and he's like, I wait all week. I wait all week for this game.
There's some of the videos and stuff. If you go on Twitter and go to the @Iowa Hawkeyes, you can see some of the images.
It's just a shining moment in their week, and it's and the hospital. It's almost like in the stadium, like it just towers over the stadium. So they're all, and they all get to, I can't imagine. Having a child with illnesses that necessitate being in a hospital for an extended stay of time. And we've been very blessed and lucky that it hasn't happened. And to then have something to look forward to that week is such a nice break.
And I love that it's part of everything they do. Like, they raise money for them, and they have the kid captain. Like, it's not just a one-time thing. They've been, working with the hospital for a long time. And it's good for the students as well. Like, we forget these football players are kids too. Like, they're 17, 16, 17, 18, 19 probably years old. So they're kids too, and you're teaching them about giving back and to be an athlete and to be part of the community. And so it's good for everybody on both sides of it. I think it's wonderful.
I cried twice watching the video. It's so good. It's so just...
You're such a sweetheart. People don't know. People don't know that you're the one crying at videos, and I'm like, what are you watching?
I cried during E.T.
Yeah.
every time. So, and Black Stallion Returns, for my first two movies I ever saw. I'm getting emotional now.
You're a very sweet man. Do you want to hear a made up word?
Yeah.
Will that cheer you up?
Yep.
It's not sad.
Don't make any sense. Don't mean no offense. It brings laziness. What is all this craziness?
Oh, every week for lots and lots of weeks in a row, we get more of these than we get story submissions now. Our made up word. If you come across a word and go, that's not real, send it to us. And if we read it on air, we'll send you a copy of whatever one of our books you would like to have, including the brand new Unbranding. Out now in stores near you. Who we got?
We have Karen B., who sent in the made up word Coffice.
Coffice. Coffice. Coffice. Wait.
Working from your couch.
Working from your couch.
Oh, that's a good one.
Adam?
Come on, Adam. Ooh,
A coffin
dark.
office. So working.
Coming from a dark
going
place.
dark. Wow.
Kathy, do you want to guess? Yeah, like Coffice.
Coffee shop office.
Kathy is right. Ding, ding,
Kathy's
ding, ding, ding,
winner.
ding.
Now, well, here's the funny thing. We've never
Ding,
actually
ding,
given
ding,
anything
ding.
to the winner in this
We
place
haven't.
here too. But
Also, another thing, never work with Adam.
yeah, Adam
Bad
is gone.
scene.
Yeah, he's gone dark.
Bad
Really,
scene.
that's the one you got to watch out for.
Making a coffee shop your office. You and I met in a Coffice.
Yeah, we're big fans of this.
Big fans of the Coffice.
And-
Not a big fan of the made-up word, though. I'm not going to lie to you. It's terrible.
I'll meet you at the Coffice.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Said no one ever.
No one's
Yeah.
ever said that. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
it's better than the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus, right? That never flew.
I like the couch office.
Yeah. So also relevant, but but you know, it was a good try.
It was.
It was a value. At least you said something. That's what mattered.
No points for second place.
I award you no points. We are now all dumber for hearing your answer. May God have mercy on your soul. So a simple wrong would have been fine. One of the questions was asked, she had asked in the tweet was like, what do you think? You know, I'm like, what? And this brings a whole...
Like, what do we think of the made-up word?
No. What do we think of that? About entrepreneurs and stuff, or the unemployed, you know, going to a coffee shop and then sitting there for 5 hours. And
Obviously, I think it's okay because
Yeah.
I've done it.
yeah, if you're doing this in a coffee shop, if you're listening to this in a coffee shop right now, buy some stuff for crying out loud. You know, like
Yeah.
you pay your rent, and your rent is
Coffee.
And it really. And this, I hit the microphone. Hi. And the rent is this, and I think this is the right rate, and we got to determine the rate, right? So the rate would be, I think, at least a coffee an hour.
Yeah.
That includes lattes
Or food items.
I think a food item you will then get you. If it's a meal, that gives you 2 hours.
Okay, because I can't drink a coffee an hour. I would just run out of the coffee shop screaming if I was there for a couple hours.
But if you're taking a table, so there's two of you, you can tag out.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Right?
fair enough.
A meal buys you 2 hours.
Yeah.
A meal and a coffee gives you 3.
Yeah.
Just pay your rent.
I agree. I think you should pay your rent.
I would have paid a table rental fee at Williams when it was there. If I got that corner booth with the outlet,
Remember what a score that was? That was like full cell phone battery happiness right
you'd
there
show
when
up,
you
you're
had
like
the
the
outlet.
corner. You get the corner, and then you get in there. And we had like a 4-square check-in battle. Who would be the
They're out of
mayor.
business now, you know, that location.
Yeah, because we didn't pay our rent. That's what it was a problem with.
Oh my.
Our first meeting was there.
Cheapskates.
Right?
I know, right?
I would have paid. If they had a little swipe thing at the table, though, I would have just swiped
totally
it every
would
hour.
have.
Now they try because they try to give Wi-Fi codes that would last an hour, and then you have to go purchase something, and they give you another one, which made sense. Like they're not there to support your business; they're there to sell. Especially when lunch would come, and the entrepreneurs would be like, "Oh no, here comes people," and they'd all come in and crowd. And if there's no tables, you lose the lunch crowd. So it's not a. We're not going to open one anytime soon.
We aren't. I also have a question of the week today.
Do we have? Yeah. Don't forget about Lotto Beats' soundtrack for this. What? Oh.
I forgot we had music. Sorry, Owen. Okay, so Chelsea Boers, it says, hello, UnPodcast.
Hi.
I have an unquestion. Maybe you've already touched on this. If so, it might be one of the only podcasts I've missed, as some long drives have really allowed me the time to dive right into your show.
Nice.
I'd like to ask you about Facebook contesting. My page for an event venue has some seriously awesome results from ticket giveaways. We are doing the classic comment something funny, give a page a like, etc., and then you get a way to win free tickets. So do we do a terms and conditions every time we do this? Sure as heck don't. Are we paying with Are we playing with fire? Or is it a silly technicality that Facebook puts in rules for giveaways and contests just to release themselves from liability? What are your thoughts? Thanks for considering my question. Love the show, Chelsea.
Well, thank you, Chelsea, and thank goodness for traffic.
Do we do a terms and conditions
Nope.
every time we do this? Sure as heck don't.
We like Chelsea.
We do.
No matter what, I think we like you.
What do you
And-
think, Scott?
Well, first of all, speaking of disclaimers and things, we are not lawyers. So consult your own attorney on these type of things. The terms of service is mostly that, which is protecting themselves from any kind of issue when it comes to lawsuits. Facebook contests have, come and gone a lot, and there's always been they've shifted. It used to be you can't give an entry into something in exchange for a like or an action or a share or a comment. And I think it's true that Facebook has a vested interest in that not happening. Because what would happen is if you are sharing something, how far do we get into disclosure? The people who are in the contest, do they say, hey, come see this event page? This venue is great. do you disclose I'm sharing this to you because I'm getting an entry in a contest?
Yeah.
And I think you should. I think that Facebook's entire ecosystem is based on the trust of connections, of friends. And if I find out you shared that because there was a contest, then I'm like, oh. It's just, you judge less of the person who did it. Now, in the terms of service, I haven't read it recently, but it used to be you couldn't give something away for the sake of them doing something.
Sure.
But, there's some third-party apps out there. Rafflecopter, I think, was the one that we had tried once. You get a certain amount of points for a share, certain amount for a like, certain amount for a tweet. I think it's great, but the issue when it comes to a marketing standpoint, outside of a legality in terms of service thing, and I think you should link to a disclosure. I think you always should, because there's so many questions you want. It says because the only thing more predominant than people wanting free crap is people complaining about not getting the free crap.
Yeah, I would cover.
Always have a link to it. Just put a link to it at the bottom. It can be on your actual page's file part where you can link to it. Have a post that you can refer back to, whatever that is, because people are going to complain. They're going to say it's rigged. This is what happens. The problem is attracting an audience who is not your market. And when you attract an audience who just wants free stuff, that's the issue. You have people who are serial contest enterers. That's their job. It's
Absolutely.
Same people who are the coupon craziness, right? The ones who those shows are designed after.
And they may not be booking venues, or they may only be booking discounted venues, or all these things. So you want to think about who you're attracting. With any marketing, you want to think about why you're doing it and who you're bringing in to your
It's
funnel.
not about the analytics are not about numbers. It's about targeted numbers.
Yeah.
And if you're in a venue, what's the goal? Is it to have more bookings in the venue, or is it to have more people in the audience for the venue? And then how much are they worth to you? And it's just, again, back down to straight marketing analytics in the right way.
Yeah.
Not a volume way, because we always said people will sell their own mother for a free iPod back in the day, and our iPad. If we gave away an iPad right now on marketing, it would be nuts. There's no targeting whatsoever.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So if you're going to do something like that, even if you're going to sponsor, like boost the post, I would pick the targeting of it. Current people who like this, who are in this geographic area or whatever. So just be careful of what you're deeming it as a success, because she mentions right in the statement itself that
it's awesome results.
Awesome results. Well, I always question a lot of the results, and if it's working for you and you're pulling it, have
a disclaimer.
And have something in there.
Thank you for your question, though, Chelsea. And if you want a copy of Unbranding, we can send you one. Let us know.
Yeah, that or any of the other ones. So there's a whole gaggle
of books
out there. Oh. Next week, we got a doozy of a show coming at you. New stuff next week, including companies screwing up and people not doing things right.
That's every show. Bye, guys.
Bye next week.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and visit theunpodcast.com. And remember, friends don't let friends use QR codes.